Word. So yeah, let's kind of take a look and kind of review, since it's been the weekend. This is definitely where it's kind of nice to take a step back and kind of review what we're doing and what we're going to be working on. And this is where, Trello can be nice, and just kind of having these resources. And yeah, with these portfolio projects, I think you might start to see some of the benefit of Trello, when you're working on a project for, 3 or 4 weeks. And just kind of this, like, kind of more the management and the tools to, be building out these projects. So let's go to, like, first of all, I want to just pull up the wireframe, which is actually a website, but we'll look at this. And then we have our Trello board. So yesterday, we really didn't start working on this. We're kind of pretending like we're working on the same time. Yesterday, I should say Friday, we started working on this. Actually, no, didn't we get these done? See, this is where it's like figuring out what we did. So yesterday, actually, I'm pretty sure we got the cities done.
We did do the cities page, yeah.
Yeah, so those are done. And since I was kind of in a hurry, I didn't throw these on the board, but we started working on this find home feature. So let's just find home backend. That's what we were working on, right?
Honestly, don't know if we really started on it or not, but yeah, that was the next thing to do.
All right, so let's see here. And yeah, so once again, I think just in kind of, since I was in a little bit of a hurry, I'm still on the city backend branch. I don't know if I close this up. So this can be like where you can, at the end of the day, because I don't think I did this at the end of lecture Friday, you do want to take just a minute to make sure everything's pushed, you're all kind of settled. It can be a good time to maybe leave a note on a Trello card, especially on the weekend, like on a Friday, I left off. If you leave any notes, what I would always do, my method when I was working, I just had Post-it notes, and I would just write down stuff on the Post-it notes and just plop it on my desk. And then that was one of the ways, because it was just easy. I think there's something about typing that just doesn't stick in my memory the same way as when I write something down. So I could just write myself a quick little note, plop it on my desk, and then when I got there in the morning, I would see that note, and it just kind of remind me where I was at. But the other thing we can do is just also start up our server. Yeah, is there anyone who just knows exactly what we did? So we do have the back end done for the cities, in the front end. This was working. I know we also started on the back end for that find home feature. Okay, where did my PS? Oh, did I not open this?
Oh yeah, that's right. I think you were doing a SQL for it, right?
Yeah. And I actually I don't think I committed this morning, just right as Will was going, but enough. And this is where commits can be helpful, because if you start to what you'll start to see on your portfolio project is, you start getting pretty big Git history. We worked on for this for 3 days. So we're starting to we can start to see changes over time. So we can see what, for instance, like my last commit, or I don't know if this is the, where's my last one? Like I can kind of go through this last commit and see what I changed. So this can also be a good way, especially if it's like the weekend, we just had the weekend. It's like, what did I do? Oh, let's go look at my last commit. And I just made this commit. So we have this address where, remember, we have this cities method. So this is a way to grab distinct cities. We have in our agent class, we added a unsold home method, which, okay. And so what this is showing is this is the comparison of, since I just did a commit, the green is stuff that's been added to this file in that last commit. So we added this method, unsold homes on Friday. Then I can be like, oh yeah, we did this call where we go grab information about the agent, but we also we got the agents by how many unsold homes they've had. So we can order it by that. And then we added that method. We added a route for it, I would assume, somewhere. So we added these routes. So now I could go oh, let's go check these routes. Like, what is this doing? Go to Chrome, localhost 1, API, properties/city. Or is it cities? So we added that path. That gives us our cities. I can do city and then give it a specific city. Do we not have that one? Get properties city. I thought we had that one. Property. Oh, I don't need it. I don't need the city there. I just need to do the actual name of the city. And there, that gives us all the properties for the city. So by going through this Git history, this is a good way to kind of see what you did. Because, we did a lot on Friday and it's maybe hard to remember what we did. So this is why it becomes useful to this is where Git and how we commit becomes more important. So if you're committing a little more frequently and kind of committing when stuff is working, or when you think it's working, it's a really useful tool. Because this can be a pretty good way to remind myself what I did. Does that kind of can you kind of see that just going through this? This is, pretty nice.
Yes.
I've honestly had bugs that I don't know how I would have figured them out without Git. Because part of finding the bug was maybe coming to a file and it's man, I knew it was working before I did this last commit. So then I could go through that commit and see what did I, it's highlighting all the stuff that I added and removed. So it's between these two files, what was that one change? I mean, that broke it. Those are hard bugs to find. That's when you're spending a day trying to find a bug. So Git can be a useful tool for that. It can be a useful tool, just to remind yourself what you did. But part of Git being useful is you committing, like having a good like convention of committing. Cool. So yeah, we have, and then yeah, so I think the routes would be, that's going to be a pretty good file to like kind of look at. So we have this agents. So we saw we added these three. So properties, cities, and city. Those ones were with the city feature, but we also did this git/agents. API agents. And that was the call that gave us back all of the agents sorted by their unsold homes. Cool. And if I go to my wireframe, that's the backend call for this. Cool. So that's as far as we got. And this would be stuff like, I would like to do this like, so let's say I was going to have a stand-up. This is something you would want to do before your stand-up meeting with your team. You don't want to be going through your code and like doing this while like 10 of you are in a meeting, you know, kind of going through the day. This is something you as a developer, like you'd want to go through, get this clear, like, so when you go to stand-off, you know exactly what you're going to say. So just kind of pretend like this is me in pre-stand-up. And yeah, I would probably just write this on like a post-it note, like, and I probably would have done this on like the Friday on a post-it note, like, you know, something like this, like finished. Getting agents by unsold property. Need. And like my notes would be like, you know, I would say I need to get like the buyers and then the buyer's property. And then like that would be enough to like visually, that would be enough for me. To like, to know what, like what I did yesterday and what I'm going to be working on today. And, you know, something that should probably like with all of these stories, we don't have to like, but, you know, these stories would, or these cards, you know, it's nice to have like what we want them to do. Cool. So I spend, you know, 10 minutes before like stand-up meeting, and just, especially if it's like the start of the week, it's probably a little like, might spend 15 minutes really just, you know, as I like, it's just using, I'm loading all of this stuff into my own RAM, like that quick memory. So it's like, it's there. I know what I'm working on. I know what I kind of need to be doing. And then, yeah, I might think about the things, because if I'm going to stand up meeting, I'm going to want to be prepared to really answer 3 questions, you know, in some shape or form. The 3 questions are like, what did you work on, you know, yesterday or previously? What are you going to be working on today? And are there any blockers for your work today or maybe in the foreseeable future? Or was there a blocker yesterday? So I kind of figured out what I worked on yesterday. And, you know, it's still in progress. And then I could also say, well, I'm probably, you know, going to get done with this today at some point. So I think the next thing I'm going to work on is like the find home, you know, front end feature. And, you know, I might kind of, as I'm like thinking about how long this would take, I might like just mentally in my head, like, or I could write it down. I might think about the steps, because I'm trying to think about how long that would take, what I need to do. I could go look at the wireframe. You know, I don't think the front end seems too hard on this. But like for this whole, I mean, I have to do a couple like probably Axios calls. So I don't know, I might say like this front end would take an hour or two. And the back end calls for this, I don't know. Probably this one's going to be straightforward. This one, we're going to need to do some SQL. So maybe like an hour. So that's something like I might like in my notes or like just kind of mentally or on here, like take, since we worked on this one yesterday too, like I don't know, like I might do a little guess, like, time, 2 hours. And, you might want to also like include the time you're using to like, set stuff up, cloning, like all the good stuff, like just even this process of like getting it in your head. Like I might account for this to take like, 2.5 hours. And then same for this one. Like I think the coding it's going to take an hour, but maybe it's like another 30 minutes of like cloning it, getting it set up. Hour. Estimated time. And then I might even like have, this next feature, like it might not even be like, I think I am going to get to it today, but maybe like we might. So I might even have that in the back of my head. And we actually kind of have a card for this. So I would like to give myself maybe more work than I think I could do in a day. Just in case if I underestimate my time, I have a pretty good plan. So at this point, like I think I've done enough. So when I go to stand up, I'm going to be ready to give my spiel in like a minute. And like I'm also going to be ready to answer. So I can give like a general outline of what I did, what I'm working on, and I'm going to also be ready to answer any questions. So I go to stand-up meeting. It's my turn on stand-up. Yeah, I'm just going to say, well, yeah, yesterday I got partly through this backend feature with the find home. I'm going to keep on working on it today. It's probably going to take, 2 hours or, maybe another hour or so because we've done some of this work. So I'd say, I'm expecting this to maybe take like an hour, hour and a half. And then after that's done, I'm going to start working on the front end feature for the find home. And, I think that might take like an hour and a half. And I think I know what I need to do on that. Like the requirements in my mind are clear. And then after this is done, I want to start working on the charting, the city cost feature. But a roadblock I have with that is I don't know how to do charting. So if that's, if anyone here knows how to do charting or you have suggestions, let's talk about that. But this, I'm kind of seeing this as a roadblock. So once I get done with these two things, I'm going to start looking into how to do charting before I even start to do this. And then that's my plan for the day. And then, people might ask me questions or they might say, hey, James, go to Jill. She knows a lot about charting. She can help you out and get you started. Like, cool, Jill, I'll hit you up when I'm done with these two cards or with these two features. So is that's kind of what you'll be doing, in the coming weeks. Now with the Trello, like if I feel most groups when they do their cards, it is just like the card would pretty much just be like, bootstrap or something, some feature. And you don't have any detail in it. That's fine for like this, but I just want to make sure like as long as like this is enough information for you to kind of know what you need to do. you don't have to go in and add all this detail if you think it's kind of like adding too much work. Does that make sense? It's like, I just want it to be enough information that it helps you organize the tasks. And if you want to, by far, go in here and use this as a place to put the information about this specific task. I mean, that's really like such a huge benefit of this. It's just like a way to organize, I can throw in my pull request here. People can throw in like images here about like what this should look like, or if there's a bug, I can like, list like steps to reproduce bug. We'll talk about some debugging stuff. So that can go all in, the card that's associated with this feature. So these cards can, have like this, kind of very rich communication thread and like detail. But you might just use it like this, as just like a card with a simple label. Another thing that I'll definitely want you to do, because this is nice, you can come in and add your name to it. So then this way, it's like really easy to see who's working on what. Cool. So I would add my name to this one. I would add my name to this one because I'm going to be working on that. And then add my name to that one. That's like at a minimum, probably what I'm going to want to see. Like you're using cards that are breaking up your features into like smaller parts. And then your members are going to have the names on them, like who's working on what. Cool. So I know that took like, I don't know, about 20 minutes to go through that. When it's just yourself, and I'm not, because I'm trying to maybe explain to you a little of the process of like getting ready for stand-up. I think if it was just myself, I could have gone through this in like 10 minutes to really like updating myself to, start working on this. Cool. So something that I did that was probably not great is I'm on this JY City backend branch. I'm pretty sure I might have closed that branch. So let's go check. I just know last Friday kind of like hurried things. Yeah, I've closed that branch. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to like re-push this up to this branch because it's already been merged. So I'm going to do a little bit of I need to merge this another way. And I want to create a new branch. So, oh man, I'm actually just going to do this.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you close the branches? Do you mean when you merge it to master, it's closed? Or
yeah, it's like, so what I did was when I got the cities feature done, I created a pull request and then I merged that pull request. And then after you merge a pull request, it's like, do you want to delete the branch? And I generally like just delete the branch because it's like, it's been merged to master. So it's like, you can think about like this flow. I wonder if like a visual, like get branches. I just want to kind of like show like maybe this visual. So you have like your code, your master branch, and then you branch it and then you work on it. You like commit and push it and then you merge it. So it's like this branch has like gone back. It's like it's kind of gone. And like I don't want to reopen this branch up because this feature is done. What I forgot to do is go to master, create a new branch for like a specific feature. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could just do like a get, let's just do this, get pull origin, JY city backend. Is that gonna just, oh, get push. Sorry, not pull. So just created another pull request for this branch. It's, and I could go in here. So what I should have done is I should have, merged this, created the pull request, have someone review it, delete the branch. I can delete the branch. I can always like go back and restore it, but I don't, it's like in master. So, but the point is like that feature was done. So I should have done like a get checkout master, get pull origin master to get the changes I just pushed up. And then I get checkout dash B, we'll just call this JY, find home and backend. Now, part of the reason why what I kind of did was wrong is I think if I go look at these file change, like for this merge I just did, this has changes from kind of two different features. And like if I look at my Trello board, this merge is going to have changes from, the cities, these two city features, and from this like front find home feature, which is, and it's not even done. It's just incomplete. It's working, but it's like incomplete. And that just like, I think as I was saying, as like, Git can become a tool where it's nice to go through and like revert stuff back to a working state or go see how things are changed. And the more organized you are about doing this, and like, I think by organized, I mean, you're keeping your merge, your pull request to like a specific feature, or your commits to like a little chunk of work that you got doing, the more this history is going to be like more usable. Does that make sense? So the reason why I'm saying like this is not the best way to do it is because I have this merge request where I'm merging to master where like some of the stuff's not done and it's like two or three different features. It works, but that's not how we're going to want to do it. But let's just pretend we did it right. Now I'm on this, because now when on this find home backend branch, it's not going to have this, like as part of this history, as part of this branch, it's not going to have this like agent history with it, the changes I made to this agent.rb, which maybe that's where the bug exists. And like, and then I would go look at this pull request once it's done to go find this bug, but it's not in the right spot. So it's a little more like, this is definitely like a little more like advanced on like how to like correctly use GitHub and branches. like at the end of the day, I can like pull and merge stuff whenever the hell, like it's like I can commit whenever I want. But if I kind of if I follow a standard of committing, it's going to be more useful. It's going to be a more useful tool. Questions on that? Cool. Does that, I don't know if that makes sense because you haven't been using branches that long. And it's one of those things you might not really start to fully appreciate it until you start to work on bigger projects where, you know, the Git history becomes important. To kind of go through and like go look at like how things have been changed. Cool. Sweet. So let's go ahead and yeah, just get with it. So yeah, we're on this backend feature. So we had one API call done. We need to do, so we have this one done where we grab all of our agents. Now, once we select an agent, now we want to do an API call where we select all that agent's buyers. Cool. So that actually should be pretty straightforward because, you know, if I step into my Rails console, you know, if I have an agent, let's just say, you know, if I'm going to find an agent by ID, and then I can just do .buyers. Like that's kind of done for us. We don't need to do like a custom SQL call. We can just do that on our own. Or sorry, just with Rails. So let's do that really quickly. So let's go open this up in code. So I'm going to go to my agents. Let's just do it. Let's actually start with the routes for this call. So I think this makes sense as like maybe like a show method, maybe. So agent and then the ID of the agent. And that can take us to the show method. Or, you know, I can maybe, if I maybe say agent ID buyers. But we can just keep it like this. Okay, so let's go to the agents controller and go define this show method. So my agent is going to equal the agent.find. We're going to find that with the param, with the ID that was given to us in the URL. And then we can just render JSON. Agent.buyers. Cool. So then I can go test that. Localhost 3001 API agents. So let's just let's start my server. First is going to grab my agents so I can see one of their IDs. Okay, so let's go agents and then let's go one. Cool. And there is that agent's buyers. Cool. So now I have the backend call to give me the agents by properties, and then I can then grab an agent's buyers. So now I need to, I think this one's the more challenging one. Now I want to grab all the properties for a given buyer. So let's just write this down. Maybe, I don't know, in the README or somewhere. Just as a note, I want to grab all the agents. I want to grab, sorry, all the properties for a given buyer that, are in that buyer's price range and desired city. It's also going to need to is also going to need to be a property like agent. So like I'm buying a property from an agent. I know we have many other properties in our app, but the way this is set up, I'm like, as a buyer, I'm just really just with one agent and I can only really see their properties. It's maybe not how you want to do it in like another real estate app, but this is just how we're doing it here. Cool. So I think this one's, sounds a little more challenging. So this would be one I would probably want to go try to figure out how to do in SQL Electron. Just so I can get like the, just so I like knowing that like I have the actual SQL working and then I can figure out how to like make that work with Rails. It's not like the exact, but I think it helps. So I can connect to my server. Now this also might be a good time to like go back to your Trello board and like review your like database structure. Because what I want the price, the square footage, and the city. But I also know I'm going to need like agent information and like where does all this stuff live? So I go review, like remember my agent has many buyers. My agent also has many properties. So, that price information lives on the property. The city lives on the address table. The desired cities lives on the buyer, and then the max price that the buyer wants to pay lives on the buyer. So there's quite a bit of like it seems simple just like looking at this. I just want the price, square footage, and city. Like those are just three things. But how to get that right set is, maybe a little more challenging. Questions on this? So let's start grabbing and doing this. So let's just like select so and things I know I'm going to have at this point when I'm doing the call. This is also not like by the time I do this API call, like I'm going to have the agent ID and I'm going to have like the buyer ID. So I know I'll like have access to that. Whether or not I'll need it, we don't know. But let's maybe just for now, let's just do select like first name. Let's maybe get some of these things like I'm like let's do the first name. Maybe let's do like desired. Well, maybe yeah. Let's just do max price. From buyers. Let's maybe just grab one buyer because we know we're going to have an ID. Let's just say where ID equals, I don't know, 1. I'm pretty sure I have a buyer whose ID equals 1. Oh, I need to connect to my database. So I need to go find my real estate database, and I need to connect to that one, and not the test one. I want to do the development one because that's where I have that seeded data. So there's Barry. Barry has, a max price of, what is that, $1 million. Could do like desired cities, or what's it called? Cities. Did I not call it that? I guess I need to go look at my schema. Why is that null? Okay, I'm going to just do a select star. Interesting. I thought we looked at this. Oh, maybe that one just never had any when you created. Okay. Let's see if we can find one that has some cities. Why are those all null? Okay. I think that was just how we seeded the database, that it randomly selected whether or not they had like cities. So there we go. I can look at, my, Israel, or however you say that. Like, this person does have a desired city. They have a max price, and then they do have some stuff in their cities array. So let's just use this user. I might want to like change my seed database, but I finally found a user that actually has some desired cities. It's kind of weird to have people in my database who don't want to live anywhere. So that could potentially be something I go fix in my seeds file. Like instead of that being 0, I want that to be a 1. All right, but for now we can just leave it like this because we found one person. Cool. So let's next maybe try to get the properties. You kind of see I'm like going through this like step, just kind of just experimenting a little, just going through, just trying to get little parts working. Like I got the first name, max price, and cities from a specific buyer. Perfect. So let's now maybe try to grab maybe some property, like the properties for the agent. Oh, and let's also show this, because actually I have the agent ID on my buyer, because my buyer belongs to an agent. So that's the agent ID. So let's do a inner join. Let's do properties. Let's actually grab it on the agent first. Let's do an inner join agent. Do this as a on our agent.id equals our buyers dot agent underscore ID. And then with that way, we could maybe grab, you know, the email of the agent. Interjoin agents. Sorry, a.id. Okay, so now it's saying first name is ambiguous because both my agent and my buyer have a first name. I need to say which one it is. Email, I guess I want the agent email. And ID is ambiguous. Where am I grabbing the ID from? Oh, so now I'm getting into this issue where like, does that like I have IDs, like everything has an ID. I'm doing a join. So it's like, hey, is this ID the agent ID or is it the buyer's ID? Cool. So there's the first name of my buyer. There's the max price. There's the city. There's the agent ID. And there's the email of the agent. Cool. But I want to grab the properties as well. So let's do the inner join properties. We'll do this as, you know, P. And so we're going to do this on property dot agent underscore ID equals, we might not even need to do this join right here. Let's see if we can maybe not. Let's do the property dot agent ID equals the buyers dot agent underscore ID. And then maybe I should be able to grab like, let's see here, what could I grab? I want the square footage, right? And then I get an error. Okay, what did I? Oh, I'm forgetting an on as P on. Let me make this capitalized so we can see it. Agent ID. Okay, so now I have two. Yeah, so let's use the buyers.agent ID here. Cool. So there's some properties. There's a square footage. Let's also grab the city. So, but the city, I need the city information. Where's the city information? That's on my addresses table. Okay, let's do another inner join. Addresses. As AD. I'll just alias that as AD and I'm going to do on. So my address belongs to a property. So my address has a property underscore ID. That's the foreign key. And I'm going to set that equal to on the property ID. So now I should be able to grab the city. Cool. Now, in reality, this one, so see this one's maybe a bad one, or this user's a bad user to test because they want to live in Sandy, but here are the cities, the properties of Darren's are in, you know, as a like, oh wait, no, he does have, there is one in Sandy. Okay, so this is good. Never mind, I take that back. Does this max price match? Okay. So right, you kind of see where we're trying to get at. So this should be the one property that we should return. Or wait, actually I need the price of the property. Let's grab that. So let's just grab the price. Let's get rid of some of the stuff we don't need. So that house, so here's the property. We have a property right here. It's like, this is the data we need for our UI, is like these three things. So this one's in Sandy and it's under $1 million, which would match. Oh, no, it doesn't. This is a low, actually that doesn't match, right? Because the max price for this person is 180 grand. So there's like no matches on this. Let's try to find a different buyer. And that doesn't match. So a lot of these would end up like empty. Kind of see what I'm doing here. I might want to like, this is maybe where I need to go like reseed my database. This is not like really good workable data. Okay, but we found someone finally. And this is a good person to test. Because what I'm doing with the SQL call right now, I'm just getting all of this agent's properties. You know, this Roseanne, I'm grabbing all of Roseanne's properties. But what I want to do is I'm going to want to filter these down to, you know, where it's only going to show the ones where it's in the desired city and under the max price. So this person should see these two properties because it's it's under that these things. There's actually one more thing that I need to check. If it's sold, I probably don't want to show a user a property if it's been sold. Crap. See, these have been sold, so I'm not going to want to show them. This one has not. So I want this to return just this one property. I'm actually going to like, I think this call right here is a good little like test to see all that information, but so I'm going to comment that out. So let's try to filter some of these out. So let's just, you know, let's start filtering out all the ones that are sold. Because I don't want any, I'm not going to want to show any properties that are sold. So let's do p.sold is not true. Cool. So now I'm filtering it down further. It's only showing properties, you know, that are actually for sale. Cool. I don't want to do another check where, let's do this right here on my properties. I could do like let's do p.price is less than the buyer's max price. So I can do an and statement on my join where the agents, where those two keys match and where the property price is less than the buyer's max price. Now, in this case, this shouldn't filter out any of these because these prices are less than the buyer's max price. Or actually, okay, wait. Let's undo that. I guess, did I miss one? Cool. So that filtered out that one because I guess this house, yeah, okay, this one's over that max price. So, but actually, I know that works. I'm going to add that back. I want to try to also filter out because this one is not in the desired cities. So I'm going to do this right here. And I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to say, and I'm just going to I'm hard coding some of these for now. Let's just do city is going, and this is how we could do it as an array eventually. I'm going to do any. It can match any of these, like, let's throw this in a string in here, SLC. I think what I can eventually do, I forget like the exact syntax, but I can do like Draper. Like I can start like throwing a list of, is it like this? So here's how I can like throw this like a list of desired cities. So if I said any SLC and Draper, that would give me SLC and Draper. But if I remove Draper and just had it be SLC, then that would filter out city. And I saw that that price one was working, so I can do and p.price is less than buyers dot max price. And there we go. And I was saying, I think like these first couple ones we were looking at, like once this was working, well, let's see, does this make sense? Their max price is $1 million. Here's 2 properties, you know, see, except this one is not working. Because since the cities is null, right, this should not be coming back. Oh, what? And city, let's do. Oh, sorry, ad.city. Why is it not? Oh, duh. Wait, what? Oh. Okay, I know what I'm doing. This is dumb. This is working, right? I'm hard coding SLC. Like, really, this would be like, it's going to eventually be an empty string because they don't have desired cities. So I'd say, oh, that's an empty string. No results. But yeah, maybe they, does that make sense?
Why would it be an empty string?
Because Barry doesn't have any desired cities. So eventually, this is going to be like, I'm going to, like once I get to Rails, I'm going to like, that should be an empty string because I should be using this value.
Okay.
And yeah, and I'm not going to hard code one, like I'm going to need to in Rails. This needs to be dynamic and this needs to be dynamic.
So you'll like make variables in Rails and add them there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I really don't think I need this one. That one probably doesn't like that in there, but the interesting, let's just leave this as it is because this is actually like, I wonder if we could do this. I'm going to take this command. I would have to go in like change everything. Well, maybe change some names, but let's get rid of these where clauses and these clauses. I could build out this one SQL call that would really give me back everything I needed in my database. Like everything that was in my database. I could have all of my buyer names, all of my agent names, all of their max prices, all of their cities, everyone's emails, like all of the data. So I could technically make this one API call because this is joining all 4 of my tables. There's going to be a lot of duplicate data, like, emails. Catherine's in here a whole bunch. But this would give me back that, like, all of my data in my database. So you could like just write one API call and then do everything on the front end. Have one API call to get all of this data, and then your front end just becomes manipulating this data. Can you like see how like with this, since we are joining all of our tables, we would have all of our stuff. It'd make it be a lot more challenging on the front end to like make our UI work, but we could definitely do it. But we're kind of doing that like half and half way of like doing things on both ends. So let me Slack this out. So now that we have this, now we can go, because this is like, this gets us a lot of the way there, but it's not 100% of the way there. We need to kind of like figure out how to convert this to Rails. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to make a route for this. So let's do like that easy part first of just coming up with like a route. What would this be? So I think for this, what I'm going to need is the buyer ID. So I think this makes sense to be like a get buyers and then the ID of the buyer. Maybe, let me see what I have it in the notes as. To me, that makes like, yeah, the most sense. And then that can just go to, we can make a controller for it. Let's just have this go to the buyers show method. So I don't have a buyer's controller, so let's go generate one. Rails G controller API / buyers. So yeah, before I try to like hook this up with like the SQL, let's just get this route set up, get it rendering back, maybe just the buyer. Okay, so I could do like a def show and let's do buyer equals, buyer dot find params ID render JSON buyer. Now I can go in and test this. Let's go buyer, which we were testing like 9. I think 9 was a good one. Go buyers, call it buyers, not buyer, buyers 9. There we go. And then, yeah, I can like go back to like this. I can always have like this reference to in SQL Electron just to kind of like, I can see what I want to get. Cool. So now I have that. Now I have the route set up. It's rendering the buyer, but I'm going to create like a custom method for this. So let's maybe call this like let's call this my homes. So go get my homes. And for this one, let's pass it the ID, because these are the two things I want, the ID and the buyer dot cities. Or now we're not going to call this on the instance. Let's call it on the class. So I don't really need to do that anymore. Oh, actually I do, because I find the buyer, then I use the ID. I could also just pass params ID here, but let's use the ID and then the cities. All right, so let's go.
You're not using that buyer variable currently though, right?
Yeah, I am. Buyer.cities.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Buyer.id. So I need it for the cities. And we'll maybe show this as two different ways. So this is as a, this could maybe be a little, maybe see we could do this as two different ways, like as a class method. So buyer.myhomes. So let's go do that. Go to my buyer def self dot my homes. So this is our class method implementation. And this one takes the ID and the cities. And for now, let's just return a hash ID cities. Just to show that I don't need to say return since this is Ruby, just to show we're like actually passing those things to the method. And we can get them back. So if I hit refresh, there's my ID, there's my cities. I'm going to do another one, a new route, buyers. I'm just going to call this instance ID. Now I'm going to have this do the same thing. I just want to show, this is more, I kind of want to take this opportunity to kind of show the difference between class methods and instance methods, and just have this kind of going back to object-oriented programming. And just so this is not confusing, I'm just going to like call this like buyers one. And this will go to show one. So I'm just having like two show methods that are going to do the same thing. They're just going to do it a little differently. So what I'm going to do is in my buyers controller, I'm going to do my def show one. Let's just have this do the same thing right now, just so you can see. I'm just creating another method, another route. What did I call it? Did I already forget? Buyers one ID. Oh, sorry, that should take me to, it still should take me to my buyers controller, to the show one method. Cool. So I now have two routes that are doing the same thing, but they are calling two different, they're going to calling two different methods. And the reason I'm doing this, I want to show you this as a instance method. If I call this now, I'm going to get an error. If I go to the one, buyers one, I can get like, why is it automatically going there? Okay, there we go. There's my error. Undefined method my homes, for this is for an instance of the class. Does this make sense? I'm calling my homes on the class right here, capital B. Here I'm calling my homes on a instance of a class. Any confusion there? I really want you all to get this. Good?
That makes sense.
I get what you're saying, but I'm not sure I could explain to somebody else or distinguish like the actual difference.
Let's just go, let's say let's say I have a person class. Class person. Think, just a really concrete example. So if I call a class method, I'm calling it on, I think it's easier to first talk about like an instance method, because this can make sense, like just kind of, we get this. So I can say like person, or like John. John is actually a person. I can go find John. John has, an ID of 1, right? And John's the only person who has the ID of 1, right? Because that's how our databases work. Our things in our database have unique IDs. So John is just one person. So if there was like a say hello method on John, John would be calling that method. It's a method on the instance of the person class. But I could also just have I could have a say hello method on the class itself. So this would be for like all people. So, and then the distinction here is like, I'm calling it this my homes on the class, capital B. Here I'm calling the method on an instance because I'm finding a buyer in my class. And then I'm going to call the method on that buyer. Right? Here I'm not finding a buyer. Like I'm just calling it on buyer. I might be passing it data from a buyer I found, but the my homes I'm calling is actually different. So let's go define this my homes. So here's the instance method. Def my homes. This is called on the instance. And just for now, let's just have this render. Now, if I refresh, there's my yo. So class methods, this is what the self dot, self dot method name is a class method in Ruby. Self here refers to the class. Let's try this. Let's do ID equals self dot ID, cities equals self dot cities. And just so we can see this, let's do a type. Just so we can see these are different. This is a class, or let's do method. I'll just method type. It's going to be a class. Method type would be instance. And here, self refers to the instance, one thing of the class. So if I
get that better now, thank you.
So if I refresh this, see this one is I'm still, now that I'm doing self inside of there, it can grab, hey, I'm an instance of the class. I know my ID because I'm one thing. So I can grab my ID, I can grab my cities. or I could call on the, class, and I can, that way I'm going to have to do it a little differently. Like I have to like pass this method the ID and cities. With an instance method, I can use self here to grab it, because I'm calling it on the instance of the class. So these would both work. Because really what I need is I need the IDs and the cities eventually. I can do it in two different ways. So I'll just kind of like leave this commented out or like as an example, but let's just do it here as a class method. So like our SQL stuff. So I'm going to take this SQL call and just kind of copy and paste it just as like a reference. Okay, so I'm going to do a select. I'm going to grab all of this stuff. I actually don't even know if I was just kind of using this stuff for testing. I guess for now we can keep it and then we'll remove this stuff we don't need. Because I really don't need to like send back the max price. I really only just need to send back these three things, I believe, for the UI. So I'll select that. I'll do my, let's just like copy and paste this as is and try to get this working before we like try to actually use these variables. I'm already getting into an issue here. Let's see, how can I interpolate this? Let's maybe just leave this blank for now. Actually, no. This is going to cause a bug though, because I have double quotes here, so that's going to end that double quote. So I'm going to need to like, this gets so messy. I want to like interpolate this. Does that do it? I think that does it. And then I'll do my dot where. Unexpected end. I don't know if it likes this. I'm just going to do a blank one for now. I just kind of want to get this working. An agent ID, it's expecting an end. I'm just going to get rid of this for now. This is the one thing that I think is like causing problems. Just going to delete it and then add it back. So one of my like tried and true ways of debugging is just get stuff working and then add it. So dot joins. I don't know if I copied this all the way right, actually. Yeah, I don't think I did. Okay. Inner join properties. What am I missing here? I'm just going to get rid of this just to see if that is causing any issues. Where? Let's see, what time is it? Let's take a break. I think this is a good time for a break. I'll figure this out so you don't have to suffer through this. Let's just come back at 11:45 and then I'll find my syntax error, but if you want, you can stick around or you can go take a break. But yeah, what I like to, and let me just say this and then you can take a break, but yeah, the thing I like to try to do is just get it working, because these can sometimes be hard to find these syntax errors in here. But maybe I take out like this. Oh, I can't take out the join, but maybe slowly start taking out stuff and then adding it. But yeah, I'll let you take a break and then I'll figure this out. Oh, duh. This this is not valid Ruby code. That's a pretty, yeah. I needed to comment that out. Cool. There we go. So we're getting close. So that's at least working, but yeah, let's take a break. Let's come back at 11:45.